Hello everybody, Chris Adams here with Body Slam the Competition, and today we are going to touch on the subject matter of who is left to oppose the WWE. Last time we talked about WWE bettering themselves, maybe by doing a brand split like JR talked about, but I'm getting kind of tired of talking about what can WWE do to better themselves. I want some competition for WWE. What can we do to make some competition for Vince McMahon in the World Wrestling Entertainment? There are options out there. Granted that they are getting all the good young talent to come to NXT and develop them there for their show and their rosters. They are overcrowding their shows right now with talent that's going unused. These people going unused could very well easily go to one of the other places that are still out there right now and make a name for themselves and oppose that company, and try to make something better. I would like nothing more to see than TNA Wrestling step up and make a venture move with Ring of Honor and Global Wrestling Federation. These guys got to come to the realization that none of the three by themselves can compete with WWE. Now, they may not have that idea in mind. Maybe they're not interested in competing with WWE. But what they do need to do is make something competitive, at least, to give the fans something to enjoy other than WWE. We need options. We need to see the best of the young guys out there in the indie circuits who are coming up today that Vince is turning away. We want to see wrestling as it used to be, like back in the WCW in previous days, where they wrestled, not just entertained. I don't want a storyline that builds up over weeks and comes to a culmination at one of the pay-per-views that they have once every month. Bring back some of the booker feelings they used to have back in the day when you had just good bookers running the show. You had lots of great feuds that way. Not so much storylines, but feuds. And that made it more than worthwhile to watch and tune into on a weekly basis. And it made the house shows 10 times better. Hands down. So what I would like to propose is this. Dixie Carter's family has got more than enough money to pay the wrestlers. That's already been established. There's no doubt about that. But she has no direction for wrestling. Alright? Jeff Jarrett always had good direction for wrestling, but lacked the funds to pay all the wrestlers he wanted to get come in. So he did develop some good young talent like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Chris Daniels, quite a few other people. It's been a while since I've seen TNA, so some of the names do escape my mind, but he had there at one point Bobby Roode and James Storm, Beer Money. Lots of good names have come through there and wrestled back when they had the Octagon ring. It was great. Ring of Honor has some of the people that were there previously, wrestling in TNA. Their heavyweight champion and TV champion was once a TNA member. I think we all remember him as the Black Machismo, imitating Randy Savage for the longest time, Jay Lethal. And he also does one heck of a Ric Flair, too. That's close your eyes and he's spot on. You think Ric Flair's in the room with you. But that aside from it, he's a great wrestler too. And a lot of the wrestlers you're seeing there came from TNA. And if we had the TNA and Ring of Honor and GFW to come together, all three, and combine forces with their roster, they could take all the biggest names on all three rosters, put them together for one good one, take the rest of them, separate them into a separate brand like an NXT type brand where they're bringing them up along with other NXT stars. I'm sorry, not NXT stars, but independent circuit stars out there. And there are quite a few of them out there left that have not been called up to a bigger division yet. They could wrestle and entertain. They might be a little rough around the edges and need some work. So here, I propose this. I don't know who runs Ring of Honor. I don't get to watch it in my area. It's not on TV. I have to catch episodes online when I get the time to. But let's have the Ring of Honor come together with Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett. Let's let Dixie Carter and her family be the money that pays these wrestlers, that keeps them happy. Let's let Jeff Jarrett be one of the minds behind the show of bringing a good wrestling show back to television for us. Let's bring in someone like Jim Cornette, who is a genius with wrestling, who knows wrestling talent, who knows how to build some good management out there, who knows good booking when he sees it, knows how to bring good bookers in. And speaking of good bookers, bring in some old school bookers like Dirty Dutch Mantell or Bill Dundee. They're not doing a whole lot these days. They haven't kicked the buckets yet. They're still a part of wrestling. Bill Dundee is in his 60s, maybe close to 70, still wrestles independent circuit sometimes just for the crowds. So let's put him in a booking position, because he does know how to put talent together and get the best of them. Dirty Dutch Mantell is the one that got Stone Cold Steve Austin to change his name to Steve Austin, because he was Steve Williams originally, and we already had Dr. Death. So he knows talent when he sees it. And back when TNA was good at one point in time, for those who don't know, Dutch Mantell was there along with Jim Cornette. And they were two of the parts of it why they were doing good, in my opinion. So take it for what it's worth, being just my opinion. So you got the Wolves with TNA. You got the Briscoe brothers in Ring of Honor. I mean, you take the other tag teams in Ring of Honor and TNA and put them together. It's one great tag division. If you want to bring in more, you can. I say put some feelers out there and steal a couple of people from WWE. See if you can't talk someone like a Cesaro who is not being used properly. The man deserves a belt. Bring a Cesaro over. Bring another, like a Jack Swagger. Make him an upper level mid-carder. Someone that's never going to be maybe a world champion run, but is prominent on television and has some good parts of action in it and good direction with the way they're going. If you want to bring in one of their tag teams, see if you can get one of the fast tag teams like the Lucha Dragons or Los Matadores and bring them in. They're not used very well either because they don't fit in with the style that they have there. So letting them go won't be a big deal to them. There's a lot of people that they could get that are very disgruntled, I'm sure, of not being used properly, that want to shine in the spotlight, that would come over and take that chance. And I would love to see it. I don't care who you get to call the show. People can argue that fact all they want. I'm not going to go that route. A lot of people say, oh, hey, let's get JR and Jerry Lawler together again. Lawler's not leaving WWE, and JR's not coming back anytime soon. So people can hang that up. Tenay's not a bad option, but once again, like I said, I'm not going down that route of TV announcers. Let that be determined by somebody else. It's just time for something different. Not all of us get to watch New Japan Wrestling. Not all of us get to see Lucha Underground. It's hard to go online and keep up with 4 different brands of wrestling while you're working during the week. And it's not on prime time television here where you can see it while doing other things. It's just not possible. Well, what do you think? What would you like to see out of it? Do you think TNA, Global Force Wrestling, and Ring of Honor could put something together to rival the WWE? And don't just say no because WWE is a national, global powerhouse right now. We know this. And they're not going to come in right away and challenge them day one. But if you put them all 3 together and you put the right pieces behind the scenes, you can definitely rival that company. Especially if you bring in your own version of NXT. Bring in some old schoolers like, Ricky Morton, maybe even Robert Gibson, both of them, the Rock and Roll Express. Work behind the scenes with some young tag teams. Bring tag team wrestling back to what it was, because it's a lost art. It's hardly there anymore. Very few tag teams are great tag teams. Bring in some other people back from the day that were individual wrestlers. That were great wrestlers back in their time. That would work with young guys. Bring a Mike Rotunda in, who was a good wrestler. Talk to a Bret Hart and see if Bret Hart would come in and work with some people. There's plenty of options out there, plenty of alternatives that you could go with, because money talks, let's face it. Bret Hart might have been with Vince for a long time, but he left on bad terms. I'm sure he would do whatever he could to help somebody else along and make another wrestling organization that was competitive with the WWE, which is what we all need in the worst way. So I'm going to cut it off at there. I'm going to stop talking about it. I want to know what your opinion is. I want to know what you think about it. Do you think it's a good idea? If you do, what would you do and how would you do it? What's your major stars that you would leave in the spotlight for the world belt? Would you say Jay Lethal stays up top and then put Jay Lethal, EC3, Eric Young, a couple other people up there with him? Maybe put Jay Briscoe out of the tag division back up there in the singles again. What would you do? Who would you take from WWE if you could? Who's your one primary target for a solo wrestler? And who's your primary tag team you try to steal and bring over? I think I'm going to stick with Cesaro, and I'm going to say the Lucha Dragons. I'd love to see them there. I can't imagine the type of matches the Lucha Dragons and the Wolves would have. It would be outstanding. Let us know. Leave us your 2 cents on it. If you're not a part of this group, make sure that you do subscribe to the YouTube group. This is something we try to do on a weekly basis. We want some good, fun, solid discussions going on amongst all the fans out there. We don't want to see any arguing, no arguments, just good, solid discussion. Everybody has an opinion and a right to it, and we respect that. If you like to read the blogs instead of watch videos, we are at www.bodyslamthecompetition.com, where we put our blog out with thoughts of our own plus news stories from other people, just forwarding them on for them to help keep the news floating around. We're also on Facebook. If you'll just search Body Slam The Competition on Facebook, you'll find our page and our like page as well. Make sure to join up, like it, share it, and after you subscribe here, give us a thumbs up and share with your friends as well. Alright, so we look forward to all the conversation about this video and hope to see you soon. And as I said before, keep loving wrestling.